hard times make hard men make easy times
Make
soft men.
On today's episode of the Coala Studio podcast, I'm sitting down with Amir Ali, the founder of Phantom Pest Solutions, a guy who's turned getting fired into building one of Vancouver's most trusted pest control businesses.
I remember the first time feeling pain. It was financial. At the same time, it was total kind of looking myself in the mirror, like, how did you get here question? I was very confused.
Pest control businesses are considered quite traditional and boring.
At the beginning, it was kind of embarrassment.
Right.
You know, it was dirty job. You know, people have a bad perception of like a old guy coming in, smoking, throwing the smoke out, no gloves, nothing, grabbing your,
Yeah.
It's different, man.
In today's episode, we dive into mindset, discipline, and what it really takes to do things right from day one. Thank you so much for making the time to have a chat with us. This is really exciting me. I'm so glad you could take the time out from your schedule to sit down with us and walk us through what you've created in a business that is Phantom Pest Control. And I'd love to hear the story from day zero and before.
For sure, pleasure, and thanks for having me with Phantom Pest Control and kind of rewinding back to day one. How far back do you want me to go?
You can go as far back as you like and as you could, because our listeners are really interested in the entire journey and how the business has come to what it is today and what led to it. So as far back as you can go, mate.
Absolutely. So Phantom Pest Control, being a pest control company, it started about 6 years ago, and I'm going to just rewind back to about 15 years ago when I started in the industry, which was just by fluke. I wanted to basically buy a motorcycle and didn't have the money to do it at the time. And just a shortfall of an event that took place. I was in the car industry for a long time. I had a shop called 3D Sound and Wheels, and unfortunately this shop fell apart. And while I was waiting and kind of adding my resumes everywhere, one of my friends goes, "Hey, why don't you try pest control?" And I thought, my hobby is cars and motorcycles, and I kind of thought about it for a while and thought, why not? Let's go on this job shadow. Let's check it out. Went on the field, checked it out for the first time, and fell in love with it on day one because I seen the freedom of what we do. And so this is 2011 at this time, a business that basically was taken away from me, which was 3D Sound and Wheels. Unfortunate. I don't want to call it a loss because it was a lesson. That lesson pushed me forward into pest control and went in for my ride-along. Interview was great, and I started basically from the scratch in the field. North Vancouver, it was a route that no technician could basically stay there for more than 6 months. Company was going through a high rotation, and they brought me in. A year goes by, and the higher-ups were interested in promoting me already. So I got a part of an acquisition. They thought that I'd be a go-getter and help them out with their brand. So they bought a smaller company, brought me in as their part of the helping leadership team. So they were a believer of me, basically at 22 years of age at the time.
You always need someone to believe in you, don't you?
Yeah, and that person, man, is still one of my mentors to this day. It's
nice.
very special, so always thank him for believing in me. So at 22, I got into basically a national size business and a corporate that helped me and taught me how to do things properly with structure. Fast forward 8 years into the industry, I got to basically experience getting involved in Victoria, Kelowna, as well as Fraser Valley. So from North Vancouver, made my way through Vancouver.
Nice.
Made my way through Fraser Valley, and then just regionally start getting involved. And one day, unfortunately, all of that light turned off because I was terminated under new management and just the way the company was going.
And this is like 5 years into your job?
8 years,
Eight
man.
years.
8 years.
Wow.
I thought I was going to be there for life, and I was comfortable at the pace we were going.
Nice.
And just one day, I remember sitting on the opposite side of my own table, and the people that have taken over our organization at the time was sitting in my spot, just like us right now. And I'll never forget. And I was told I got a big smile in that. I remember that conversation was being let go. And hey man, you got a smile on your face. And I don't recall the smile, but I remember that comment. Anyways, that being the end of the big corporate life, I took a few months, went to Hawaii. While I was in Hawaii, I was just going back and forth, making some payments. And I was 28 at the time. So I didn't have kids, didn't have much happening.
And what year is this?
2018.
2000.
Right before the big pandemic in the world, right?
Yep.
Right before kind of getting there. And watching my financial statements just drop, and I had created this lifestyle I liked as a 28-year-old, fancy car and the life, being basically in a regional level and a big corporate. What ended up happening is seeing that. I remember the first time feeling pain. It was financial. At the same time, it was total kind of looking myself in the mirror, like, how did you get here? Question. I was very confused. I think, this saying, when my father brought us to Canada, I'm going to reverse back to 2001.
Go for it, man. Go for it. These are the stories I guarantee my listeners love hearing.
2001, man, we moved to Canada. My parents tried for many years to come to North America. They had a couple of rejections to North America, and then Canada was the spot. Dad had came, checked it out. And I remember leaving Iran. My dad basically told me one day, hey, I want you to look at the sky. This is in our wood factory. My dad, we're walking down the factory, and I look up. Because of the pollution in Middle East, they know blue skies. Well, son, I'm going to take you somewhere where the sky is going to be blue. And so for that, we showed up to Canada. I'm all excited. Let's see the city and check it all out. Sure, it was rainy that day when we arrived.
Gosh, sky's gray here.
July 16th, 2001. And that day in the airport, Dad goes, kid, I brought you here. Now you're on your own. And I was 10 years old at the time. That conversation basically resonated so much with me throughout my childhood growing up in Canada. And at that point, when I hit the rock bottom at being terminated and financially being unstable, my dad's voice had always been through my head. Kid, I brought you here. Go earn it. Go get it. We've done everything we could for you. Here it is. And it was very hard hearing that voice at the time and getting into thinking like, okay, how am I going to start an organization? I was just part of an organization. Where's my team of 50? I had up to 62 people at one time. And it was really amazing because, as a young man, it's your ego up there. Like you started from scratch. You came up here. You've got all these people. Before this talk, we were having conversations about where life is right now in 2025, and everybody was doing something for me. I had my accounting team. I had my social media team, my marketing team. I had few management, basically great mentors, and it was a national level.
And you kind of get used to having people around you as well who know what they're doing. You've got your role that you're playing. I think it kind of feeds into your ego as well when you're at a corporate at that level, having a team that's really solid. I don't know if this obviously applies to you, and I'm not making any assumptions, but I've noticed that, because I work corporate as well, I've noticed that sometimes people think that at that level, it's them that's doing most of the stuff. But in reality, it's the team.
It's the team.
And as soon as you start your own business, you grow your team, that narrative completely changes. You start to realize that you're a nobody. Like, you are nothing without the team that delivers what they do, because that's just the truth. And you don't realize this when you're in corporate.
You don't, and it's interesting you bring that up. And the reason I say that, I think it's something that we calloused our mind as we grow. At 28 years of age, I didn't know any other way. That's all I knew. And at the time, you think, if I'm gone from the corporate, and this actually came down, we were talking about that with my coach. He was a VP at a very big company, billion-dollar company on New York stock, and it's big. And he was telling me same thing. He goes, this conversation was about that same thing. He goes, I thought when I'm done, they're going to be calling me, asking questions. And when I was let go, I was genuinely thinking this organization is going to
crumble without me. Yeah.
And in regards to team, they always say, if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. If you want to go far, you go with the team. I never understood that, even though I had a team of 62 individuals that were amazing. Some of them were 35 to 43 years of time they had spent with the same company I was a part of. A lot of experience. But that said, at the time I didn't know the value of the team, and they always know the value of what you got until it's gone. That kind of reflected back onto Phantom. Same night that I was terminated, I didn't sleep that night. And I went to work. I was a believer, and I'm very grateful for this, that early on I started listening to podcasts and started writing things down. In our generation now, everyone's on their phones, everyone's typing things. And for me, part of a podcast that really switched everything for me. So that Hawaii trip, when we were there, I was starting to write things down. It was just like, okay, my big basically laptop was taken away. I just have this notebook. And in there, I wrote my vision. I said, this is the vision for the company.
And was the vision always a pest control company that you wanted to run, or
I'm in love
were
with pest
there-
control, man.
Okay, man.
'Cause
I
you
literally
gotta-
don't know another person
Yeah.
who said that, but
I know.
that's awesome.
I'm so passionate about it. I used to kind of, it was strange because, you know, when I was younger in my 20s, I spent all my 20s in the pest control industry. And I remember, you know, you're going on dates and, you know, everyone's like dating lawyers and,
Yeah.
you know, the financial guys and stuff like that. And as soon as I'd say pest control, I know at every table I had a conversation because everyone's dealt with a pest control issue. So at the beginning, it was kind of embarrassment, you know, because I thought,
Right.
you know, it was dirty job. You know, people have a bad perception of like a old guy coming in, smoking, throwing the smoke out, no gloves, nothing, grabbing your, you know.
Yeah.
It's different, man.
Would you say pest control businesses are considered quite traditional and boring?
100%.
Yeah? Would you? Okay.
It wasn't like that because I look at the National Pest Management Association and I've seen pictures of the 50s, late 50s, where people are all in tuxedos and suits. And there's a picture from the top that these guys are, you know, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. But that's what I look at. And I said, this is where I want to take my industry.
And then you think it kind of transformed somewhere in the middle there, and now it's making another turn. to
100%.
Being not boring.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know the saying we talk about, you know, they say hard times make hard men make easy times
Make soft
make
men.
soft men. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think this culture of something shifted in their way. You know, those guys looking at those pictures, I see the industry, I see all the company I was a part of. There's such a huge foundation. It was the guys that were doing it in the 50s that had carried on and were retiring at the time. Pest control towards I'd say 2010 or so, 2011 was different till 2015. I feel like the industry shifted and changed. I think a lot of big organizations had a lot of funds to buy bigger companies. So these
Right.
monster companies turned even bigger. And the people working, I think it started just breaking down, you know, it watered down. And that shifted in my industry. But I see a huge future for pest control.
Right. So going back to your vision board the day you're let go.
Yeah.
What did that day look like?
So I basically drew stickman. I drew myself as a stickman, you know, it's just there. And I added the second person and I put the years right beside it. And I put 5 years goal and I put the 10 people beside it and the trucks and the headquarters. It was all basically a very basic drawing. And I've never talked to anybody about this. So
Wow.
that book is
This
there,
is
man.
an exclusive, mate.
Yeah, it's an
Okay.
exclusive, man, because we're digging in there and it's interesting. So grateful because vision was something I thought it was a foofy topic. And, you know, I seen all these people talking about, here's the canvas and my vision's on there. I'm going to go after my vision. And, you know, when you're younger, you don't understand patience. You know,
Yeah.
Patience is something you have to teach yourself, hard work. And throughout it, going back at vision board, when I look at the vision board, everything happened exactly as we said it. Whatever we put out to the universe is happening. And I'm really grateful because I got one of my friends that I basically went to elementary school here with. He works with me. 23 years, we've known each other. And he's been there with me. And I look at him now, I go, hey man, do you remember all these conversations we used to have? Everything we said actually happened and it's continuing to happen. Like it's in the vision and it's what you put your mind to. And
Right.
If you're committed, it happens. There's no such thing as luck. I don't believe in luck. Yes, there are situations and, you know, places you're going to be, people you're going to meet. I think dedication comes to purely having a vision.
You said you didn't believe in luck. Do you not believe only in good luck, or do you not believe in bad luck either?
So I don't believe in it's just one thing. Like when it comes to luck, I believe in there is something that we sense. I think everything is frequency and vibration.
Yeah.
You know, how we feel good and bad. It's the same thing I think with luck too, man. Like there's people, like you have to put your opportunity, be out there
Yeah.
to create that opportunity. So when you flip a coin, it's two sides. And the same thing I believe in with life. I think the good luck and the bad luck, it's where you put your mind to. And back to the vision, I think once it's like a magnet, man, it's very magnetic. You know, luck, I think the hard work and the conversations and the places you go to, I think it's what you put out there is what you attract.
Yeah.
So I think you choose your luck. So I don't think it's bad or good. I think what you put out there is what you attract, really.
That's a fair way to look at it as well. Yeah. I think it just makes it so much easier because if you're constantly like, and I'll track back a little bit. What happens sometimes is you believe in a process, you follow a process, you continue to do it for a while. And there's obviously in business, there's things that are outside of your control. Like you could do everything right, and then there's just things that would not go your way, right?
Yes.
My opinion, start to take that as, oh, luck is not on my side. But that really isn't true, right? I mean, there's been so many times when unknowingly you've been favored by the market situation or by someone's temperament or by someone's a fondness of you or whatever it is, right? I feel like sometimes business owners get into that mindset where you start to focus a little bit too much on the bad luck versus count your blessings. And I think you're like, as much as I've spoken to you and the different conversations we've had, I feel like you're one that focuses more on the gratitude and good luck side of it, despite you not believing in luck.
Yeah, I agree with that. And one of the things I heard today was, one of the years that Muhammad Ali got knocked out. Luck was, when we talk about it, it's like no matter the greatest, the strongest man in the world, the best fighter in the world, that day was his day. And I believe in that we all get knocked down no matter of what level we're in, is the perseverance and how you can pivot to get yourself out of situations. And I think that's something that I've been very grateful of learning throughout my 30s, I'd say. It's a wave, man. Life is, it's really a wave. I was going through with this, we got our high ups. And those days that when you have the high ups is you think about, okay, I'm in this level, gratitude is there. I practice gratitude all the time. And with that said, I think when you have your lows, you have to remember about the high tops.
Right.
So
And that's, I think, a really hard thing to do as well. Not a lot of people
practice,
are able to do it. Yeah.
recently, I've been very blessed having my first child on the way.
Congratulations,
I've been
man.
having, thank you.
Congratulations.
I appreciate it. These thoughts that are coming, the gratitude, the fulfillment. Because one of my life coaches a few years back, I was talking to her and I mentioned Sarah. She goes, look, you're going after fulfillment. It's not happiness we look for. It's fulfillment we look for. That, when I was in that state of gratitude and that fulfillment, it was a great morning, sunny, everything's hitting the spot. I'm in a new house and just life is amazing. I stopped myself that day. So, hey, I'm having this great day. Enjoy the moment. Be present with it as a gift. But just remember, you're in the highs right now. Remember the high.
Yeah.
And once you're in your low, remember this day because it will remind you that, hey, that wave's going to bring you right back to the top eventually again. So I think entrepreneurs, and I think a lot of people, they talk about a business starting the first year. I think 80% of people make it. I've heard 5 years, that percentage drops quite a bit.
Quite
and at
significantly.
10 years, it's a 1%er game.
Right.
And when I look at visions, I've been very fortunate to look at it from reverse in. So when you look at something, I think when you have the end goal in mind, it's just like driving. They say, hey, if you want to drive, and there's, if you want to look at this wall, most likely you're going to hit that wall.
Absolutely. And that actually happens. You ride. If you're on a curve and you keep looking at the divider, you're going to hit it. That's just how it is.
And that's why I talk about it, man. I'm grateful we brought up the luck. It's a great topic because at the end of the day, it's where you're looking at.
Absolutely.
You can wave your way back into where you want to go.
I want to ask you, what do you reckon are the top 3 mistakes someone can make in year 1 of business? Since we're just talking about starting
Great
out.
question, man. Great question.
I know there are a lot of mistakes that people make in year 1. What are the top 3 mistakes that you would avoid?
First one, I think being very cautious about signing up contracts.
Okay.
In this day and age, I believe in that business is just like a baby. When you have a baby, you don't take it to school right away. You have to cater it, look after it. And being a new dad, I mean, that's using the business is a baby.
Hey, go for it, man.
Right? It's in its early days, it's very sensitive. So I think your foundation is very important. A lot of people jump into a business and they spend all their money in it. They think the more they throw at it, the better it is. I genuinely think getting competitive quoting and checking the market out for what you want. For me, contracts, and that's why I don't believe in contracts in my line of work. It's always service agreements. It's I give you an agreement, we agree on it. It's an old mentality, we shake on it. You don't want to be part of us, let's part ways. Contracts is what burnt me at the beginning. So if I can recommend, mentioning what the first item would be contracts, being cautious of that. Second
So you mean to say have flexible contracts that kind of give
contracts
that give you and the other party room to renegotiate, to go back on things based on situational changes? Is that and be flexible about it? Yeah.
For me, it was I was stuck with a software I couldn't use for pest control. I had to go get another software. I lost $1,200, man. And like
Right.
when I was mentioning sitting in Hawaii, I looked at my funds and I'm like, okay, I'm limited on this. They took $1,200 from me, and it was multiple things that happened.
Right.
I think for with a lot of people, they need help in their journey, and they'll go and spend that money and get locked in.
Right.
So I think it's very important creating that pure foundation. And then secondly, I think that vision is very important. You know, that's something that people don't put on there. You know, they just basically open the doors, allow the day to take control of it. If you don't prep and you're not prepared for that, and you don't have a vision, how do you go somewhere without a roadmap? Roadmap is huge, and I think a lot of people are just going after a thought and without writing it down, and they just
Right.
chasing it. You know, we can relate to that chase.
I
right?
think, yeah, and it's a high too, right? Like the moment you get closer to it, or a lot of, I mean, in year one, I had a vision for the business, and as I got closer to it, as I attained it, the vision just kept growing, right? You're never satisfied with what you have, but you do need to know where you're gonna head to and what you can be okay with not making as well.
And those things shift too, man.
Yeah.
You know, I think that I'm grateful that you brought that up. Early on, they told me this. They go, the stiffest branch is the branch that
breaks the first.
breaks the first.
Yeah.
Flexibility. And I think a lot of, we're so rigid sometimes too. I know I say roadmap. There's shifts, there's changes
Absolutely.
that happens, right? And I think the third one that I would say is your network. They say you look at the 5 people that are in your circle. You know, you become that 5th person. Go in a room that they all sell, let's just say gelato. You're gonna be the 5th person that's gonna know about gelato, man.
Yeah.
Like I don't know anything about it, but being surrounded by that, I know I completely shifted my friends from my 20s to 50s, the people that are around my circle now.
Right.
And sometimes that's very hard. And I think in business, especially at the early on, people have so many people talking to their ears, parents, families, friends, and that can be hard. I think it's very important to be selective. I mean, I was very fortunate with my circle, but even now to this day, when looking back at it, when you ask for those 3 things that
Right.
in the business, I think
You think that's what made a
huge,
huge
man.
difference?
Big time.
Gonna touch on that circle thing
Sure.
a little bit, because I resonate with it in a lot of ways, but I want to know something a little bit deeper. So you have a circle that you choose, which is obviously your friends, your network, your professional mates, you know, your people you play sport with or whatever, right? That's the circle you choose. And then you also have the circle that you don't choose, which is friends that you made in, say, elementary school or family. There's people that have been part of your life from before you could make a choice. And when you're in a business, there's advice flowing from all sides, right? There's advice flowing from the network and the friends and the professional connections you have, the circle you chose per se. But there's also the advice coming from the circle you did not choose, and you know, you were gifted in a way. How crucial is it to filter said advice about business and the tips you get from everywhere?
I know early on, I used to take a lot of things at heart. You know, as humans, we're emotional beings, not emotional doings. And I strongly believe that, and it was really hard because to me, I had heard this on a podcast actually, that, you know, even if it's your family and it sounds very cutthroat, but unfortunately, energy, like we were talking about, and frequency is everything. I've lost some of the people that have been closest to me. Unfortunately, you have to distance yourself. I've had friends that are so stuck in the past, you know, just like that conversation about where you focus is where you're gonna go. And unfortunately, it comes to a point where you can't save everybody. And you have to be able to say no in business. And sometimes, and I'm really grateful, you know, I've said a lot of no's lately. And I always did. And I used to think, you know, feel bad about it. There's no such thing as feeling bad about choosing your circle, because it truly is the direction you're going to go. It's proven itself in history, and it's every day that we see that all the time. So
Right.
I know people are close to us. I know people are family. There's a genuine way of talking to people, I believe, that showing them, hey, this is what aligns with me, that this is what doesn't. And I think it's very important. I don't think we communicate nowadays enough, where 2 people just sit down and have a conversation,
Yeah.
trying to solve problems.
Harder to set boundaries when you're
Yeah.
not in an in-person conversation all the time
100%.
as well. Yeah.
I've always been able to put my foot down. And funny enough, I'm going to mention something. I was very much like an introvert. Now I'm kind of a hybrid extrovert, being able to talk to people.
Sure.
Once you find that no one's going to come and save you, you have to go save yourself. And I think as people, we grow at a certain age where
Right.
you recognize, hey man, like these people were part of my past. If I want to go in the future, this is what I got to do. And a lot of times we have circle of friends that say, hey man, you know, friends from high school, friends from back in the day, sit down and they always go, remember when? And it's always that conversation is about remember when. The circles I like to sit with now are the visionaries, are the
In the future,
people in the
what can we
future,
do?
in the present. So when I'm around my family, I love that wholesome of, you know, we're not talking about the past, other families. We're talking about how we're going to build as a family, how special this moment is, how amazing the, you know, the food is, the environment we're surrounded by.
Yeah.
But if anybody brings any sort of an energy that is really not like that, I don't welcome it, man. Personally, I've learned, and I thought I'd be the last person to get like this, but I think life kind of pushes you to a place where you want to be in that space of peace.
Right.
Life's already hard as it is, man. You want your people that are around you to surround you and lift you, and you lift all together, you rise together, right?
That's a very solid way to put it. I want to rope the conversation into the present moment for you as a business owner and the business that you've built, right? Like, just for context, for our listeners, I actually reached out to you because I was browsing Instagram on my phone aimlessly, and I come across an ad for a pest control company that I am honestly just blown away by.
Which one did you see?
I can't remember. It
No?
was a while ago.
was like, well,
Yeah,
okay.
we've been talking for a
Yeah,
while.
we have.
So I can't remember exactly what the ad was, but I'll tell you this: I haven't been hit by another ad from a pest control company in 10 years of being on Instagram. So I guess you were the first, and I was really impressed. I'm like, because in my head, pest control business is a pretty traditional business. It is very similar to the businesses that we cater to, because we have a lot of clients in the kitchen remodeling or the home improvement business, and they're quite traditional like that. You wouldn't see them create content unless we kind of push them as their agency to do that. And there's always like questions about, okay, but what will this yield? You know, to which I have some great tips, and I always have a great answer to that. But there is a little bit of convincing required on that front with blue collar businesses that are considered traditional. Was that the case with you as well, or like were you already thinking about kind of getting out of what the industry was typically doing for your marketing and just redefining things with content, with like amazing video? I know that you have a Tesla Cybertruck that's completely wrapped black and has Phantom written all over it. So talk us through that a little bit.
For sure, man. For me, I think it wasn't part of the vision because there were so many big companies out there that had years of content creation. You know, by the time you try to, and that's one thing I always tell business owners, and by the time you try to copy somebody, like we talk about tradition,
Yeah.
there's no such thing for me, I think, that as a copy. I learned that in school. They said by the time you try to copy somebody, they already finished the test.
Correct.
And that's the same thing. If I wanted to copy all these big businesses, they've done what they're doing and what we're seeing right now 4 or 5 years ago.
Right.
They're already 4 or 5 years ahead. And like we talked at the start of this conversation, I love my industry. And unfortunately, it's an industry that not many people look at. And like you mentioned, it's like, what do you put as a content in pest control? I can't. Basically, we're hunters. We're professional hunters.
Right.
I don't like posting videos or pictures of things that we do, and at the end of the day too, it's science that does the work. It's very clean work, because if you're utilizing your tools and all that. So I was kind of at the beginning 2019 when I was starting my vision of what we were doing on social media. I had a great friend that was helping with it, and some of those stuff is really cool too. I can see some companies are following it.
Right.
The way I was posing, and I was the model and the owner, founder and worker at the same time. The day I think everything changed for me is finding the right people. And when I realized that my team has taken in my vision and have accepted the vision, and now my vision is theirs, it went from, like we were talking about, me doing stuff fast and getting places fast by myself to growing that business to a team where we can actually expand as a whole. So I was like, okay, well, I got the best team in place. I got the best systems in place. We are a high performance team. And, when I look at models, I thought, okay, well, I can't create a Ferrari because I'm in a pest control business. Car business is my hobby. How can I find the models between Ferrari as a vehicle and break down a high performance vehicle into a high performance service industry?
Correct.
So when we started doing things different, like having the Cybertruck on 26-inch 4G auto wheels and being different, was, okay, what do we do in our industry that's going to be different? Do people want to see pest control? You know, I don't want to be that other yellow truck with ants all over it.
Right.
You know, people don't want to see that. So I listened. For the first 5 years, I think I listened and listened. And it got to a point, there was the momentum that created it. And I was like, you know what, man, I want to go national. The day I was sold internally as a saying, hey, I want to go global with Phantom. I want to help worldwide. We've created systems. So now I have to create a brand. So I think the day that I realized, okay, I'm not in the pest control business, I'm in a brand building business, then Phantom became very dear, and it became like a brand that we wanted to create. And then basically once we had that vision, like I said, we started doing it backwards, started breaking the tools. And I want to be different, man. I've always been different. I used to think something's wrong. When they used to tell me, hey, here, draw a house and paint it. I used to always paint outside the box. You know, I was always that guy. But I didn't know how to do that with social. And funny enough, you know, we were at the association meeting last year in February. They called me out of my truck. It was the first one. I thought I'm in trouble, but it was going against the odds. The opposite. In front of 500 people, they called me out. And it was the first time, you know, being called out and something like that. And just, I love being different, man. I think being different is what sets you apart.
And I think that's working for you as well, right? Like, I don't see any other pest control business that's taking the time out to create content, educate people about what the process actually entails. Because it is an industry that you wouldn't normally like pay attention to unless you really needed the services or you were really interested in it by virtue of XYZ, right? And I also love the fact that you mentioned putting together an almost engineered method of like building a team, building processes, whatnot. And I'll kind of tell you how we do it at our company as well. I'm a huge football fan, so soccer, as they call it here, but huge football fan. I've always played team sport as a kid as well. And the one thing I absolutely hate is when companies say that, oh, our employees are our family, because that's just not true. Like, your family never bails out on you, irrespective of whatever the situation or the market situation or whatever. And companies historically and in the future will continue to do that. So my take on that is we work like a sports team does. So if you are part of our team, you're part of a sports team. If you've been picked as an attacker, you score goals. If you've been picked as a defender, you save goals from being scored. If you've been picked as a midfielder to play on this team, you make plays, you create opportunities for the attackers, and you help out defenders when there's turnover of play. So everybody knows their role basically, and everyone tries to show up every day and do the best at their role. And if you cannot, the other people on the team will support you for a certain amount of understandable time until, you know, you're able to pick yourself back up. So that's kind of our engineered way of building process and team that's worked out really well for us. Just adding to what you're
Well, it's huge, man. And, you know, we always talk about this too with my team. You know, certain times that we look at the bus, you know, certain people are not sitting in the right seat in the bus. Is that my team has created a family, man.
Right.
Because this day and age, I think we spend so much time with our people at work, our family, our team, or whatever you call it. They turn into something so special. And when you look at them, sometimes you need to reorganize. You know, I mentioned earlier too, I work with some of my close friends, and a lot of time in business, people say you can't work with close friends and family. We've made it happen because you set expectation. You know, this seat belongs to you. This is what we do in this seat. If you can't make it happen, let's adjust seat. And I think it really comes down to culture and something we had talked about. We all strive to create a culture at our businesses for people that care. And I think, again, back to making sure everyone understands their role and response in that team. Like you mentioned, soccer, to me, a lot of times what we refer to as playing a chess game.
100%.
Making tactical moves, man.
Everyone's got their tactics they can move in, and there's a lot happening on a chessboard that's
pretty special.
Yeah, it is. It is. Speaking of operations, what does the Phantom team look like right now?
For sure. So Phantom Team looks so similar to that drawing I made where it was supposed to sit at for this time. So the team basically, we believe in a hybrid model. So for a hybrid model, what I mean by that is, as a founder, I can have anyone in my company run my business at any time. Like, what I mean by that is my office doesn't have doors, man. Me as a CEO, my VP on the side, my EA, everybody is in one location, no doors. We just sit together, and that environment, my coach, like I was mentioning, he's like, you guys are a true hybrid model. What I suffered with for the longest time was, if one person's sick, we can't move forward.
Right.
And in the growth of a business, when you look at the charts, you can see the drop. You always know, okay, somebody was on vacation, someone was sick, or someone wasn't in that seat. So what Phantom looks like is, when you see us on social, I basically made sure everyone's on social media.
Right.
All our pictures are there, all our bios are there of the people. So by the time we actually visit our clients, they already know who's coming.
Correct.
They know the faces. It's like they've already met us. So to me, I think what Phantom looks like is, we could be anywhere. We could be doing anything. My guys are and my girls are so they can maneuver and pivot. And what the team looks like is, so we got our call center, we have our operations team, so we do bird and wildlife. We have our technicians that do preventative work, so they're just checking on organizations, restaurants,
Right.
and hospitals and such. We have a team that does pest proofing, so they're contractors and basically know how to do buildings and build buildings, so they keep structural pests from getting in. And myself and my VP basically overlook the operation. So, like we always say, we're no different than anybody else. Some days we're in the field solving problems. There's nights. Recently, we did a job in 4 days that was basically a 72-hour just go.
Wow.
We're all hungry, man, in this group of a young team that strives for excellence. You know, everybody, that's what we
fantastic.
do, man.
I think you mentioned very briefly, and I want to know more about this, because financial models and pricing models really are a big topic of interest for me, right? Everyone can price their product, their service very differently. And I think you are doing something very unique there. If I'm not wrong, you mentioned something about a subscription pricing model in your business.
Yep.
Talk to me about that. Explain it to me like you would to a kid, and tell me how it's different from what other players in the industry are doing right now.
For sure. So it was the high pressure sell in my industry with pest control. Being in the industry where it basically, what clients do is they call us for preventative work. For example, buildings. A lot of locations, once you go in for a pest issue, the issue, they call it pest control because we can only control the problem. But I named my company on that first night when we were doing this, we said Pest Solutions. So our model right off the bat was a solution-based model. And I don't want to knock on doors. So for the first 5, we're in the 6th year now, we never knocked on doors saying, hey guys, this is our services, let me sign you up. So for the next 4 or 5 years, I'm going to come and service here, trap check and all that. So we're going to tailor a business that is going to be based off the needs of the clients. That's why in social media initially when I started was delivering value, just giving those experiences of what we see in the field.
Right.
A lot of companies where, you know, we have the FAQs, a lot of people go on those pages, pretty boring. No, we started actually sharing that information genuinely and transparency with people so they could do it at home, save costs, and not need to see that basically return visit from the technicians. Though pest control is subscription based, a lot of locations require ongoing services like hospitals and food
Right.
facilities. I didn't want to be that person. So I always, every time we got the calls, I was on the phones myself for the first 2 years. My goal was to understand the client, what the needs were, tailor it down just like your business. You were mentioning no job is the same and no price is the same. Yet
Right.
we're one of the highest charging pest control companies regionally. But with the price that people pay is that experience that comes. We bring the best of everything with the products, with the technicians training, best equipment and supplies so we can get the job done right. So our slogan at the beginning was very similar of what I seen in the Last Dance with Michael Jordan, right? It said, for me, I switched that up a little bit. I said our slogan is going to be, we don't do it until we get the problem resolved. We do it right off the start. Recently, we've changed our slogan to a white glove service company, just because we want it to be different in that space. But we believe in doing something right off the front, and people in pest control don't want to do that. Well, they hide behind the logo of control because they know it's reoccurring services. Right. We're still doing that, but with a different model of tailoring it down, resolving all the issues, saving funds for the clients, and the people that need us will let us know. So that's our model. That's what sets us apart.
Right. So I love how you brought this up earlier. You mentioned having a team that is able to run, you know, the show on their own, right? And that's a huge, huge achievement for any business.
It's so special
honestly.
to see, man.
It's so special, man. Like
Yep.
the ability to, and this again comes down to gratitude, right? The ability to take a reading break or a walk at like Monday at 11
Yep.
is just fantastic. Like that's only possible if your team is all the way up there, just as good as you are, you know, taking care of everything. And you also mentioned that your clients know whom to expect because you've been pushing that on social media as well. Like you've been pushing your team on social media. And this is one of the first things we tell any of our content clients that we onboard. We're like, how open are you to, you know, showcasing yourself and your team? Because that's who people want to do business with. People want to do business with people they like, right? What was the journey like to getting to that point where your team could actually handle most of the stuff without you?
I think key is communication, and we talked about consistency. Consistency beats any hard work. It outshines hype. It's one thing that's really helped me is just being consistent. A lot of times people can only repeat themselves so much, and we get tired, man. As leaders, sometimes you can only have it in you so many times to repeat where you're going after, what you're doing. So I think the key was for us being consistent, talking about what we want to be, how we want to do it, step by step. I think that the consistency falls apart because it's discipline, man. You wanting to do things regularly, not seeing results at the beginning. For us, I think what really did it was me showing my right hand man, like, hey man, I want to build a cologne of basically my own cologne. And I had that thought before AI became AI. I didn't even know what AI was till like 2 years ago. And I was already thinking about how do you create a cologne? And that's why I train my people. So in our industry, usually training's 2 weeks. I train my guys 3 to 6 months. That's out of pocket money, man. And what happens is that person now is able to do things and go run, their own pest control business. And I'm totally happy for people wanting to do that. But we've built something so special, people don't want to even leave.
Exactly.
Right? So we always tell them right off the bat too. I used to be very afraid. Like I've interviewed hundreds of people. And
what's your hiring success rate? Divvy that into two parts.
Sure.
One, I want to know what percentage of your recruits last longer than 3 months, which is your probation period. And then also the overall retention rate in your.
For sure. So we're always under a 1% retention rate. Like it's always a 0.0. Like we've never had anyone quit after 3 months. It's always been under like basically that 8 month to a year where in the interview, I tell people, I said, look, man, it takes a season for you to understand pest control. Like it'll be a full year round because it's seasonal. So it's like in the summer, you got the ants and the wasps that you never seen. So me being hired in September, I never saw ants and wasps. So I always tell people, you need to give this job a year, right? And people have listened because we're very close with the people that work with us. And, at a smaller scale business, it's really easy to have that relationship. Yeah. So it's always been a year. It's rare that people basically on a job shadow, basically we take them on a job shadow, show them where we go, the filth. And sometimes some people don't have the stomach for pest control. Yeah. It's not, you don't wake up and be like, I want to do pest control. So you have to train them. But what I've learned, and this was so beautiful, man, because like I said, hundreds of people interviewed. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's thousands. Big corporate. I had to do all the interviewing and taking classes on them, and I was very like afraid of them at the beginning, and now I love them. So what I've done to save myself time, like we were talking about, I get people to send me a 3-minute video.
Wow.
Asking them to give me 3 questions to answer. Why you want to be a part of my company? Tell me about your strengths and where do you see yourself in 5 years? I have saved so much time in that 3-minute video because first of all, people still send you their resume and listen, man, you didn't follow the instructions. I asked for a video. I didn't ask for your resume. So you're already not my person. And the thing is, we used to throw this net out there and try to catch the good people. But what I decided to do is basically make that net a little bit larger rather than, interviewing for 5 to 10 minutes, meeting people in the coffee shops, meeting them at the office. Now you're spending all that time, you're minimizing it. Now you're able to really interview like 20 people that are quality that followed that. You can see what they look like, how they talk. Are they comfortable with themselves? Are they mumbling? So man, like I love the people I work with because these people, I've seen them and they followed the instruction and I work with some of the coolest people because they decide to follow, I found the best of the best.
Absolutely. And
So
we haven't discussed this before, but that's
No, we haven't.
exactly the process that we've adopted in the last 12 months as well.
Yeah.
So we're big fans of Loom videos. So let's say we're hiring like a performance marketing specialist, right? Or a designer or UX UI designer. So our requirement is you record a Loom video, show us your face, talk us through your portfolio in real time, and share your screen alongside that, right? So 2 to 3 minutes, you save your time, I save my time, I don't have to meet you, and it's just so much easier.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've kind of realized over time is there's only 1% of the applicants that actually follow instructions, just like
It's
me.
wild to
Nobody
me.
reads
Nobody
up until
reads
the
it.
end of the
No.
job descriptions, in my opinion. Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people have called us on that. When we have a post out, it's like, and I'm so lucky because my wife pick up the phone. It's like, hey, well, have you read the instructions? And some of the people, yeah, we have. It's like, did you see the last line? Like it says, please. And it's that moment where you recognize, like, okay, well, I've put structures in place now that are going to save us. And back to your question, when we were talking about what are the 3 mistakes people make, this might be one of those things, because I think the biggest thing as a founder is you always want to find your next person.
Right.
And I think finding and going, you can probably know that feeling. You're like, am I big enough and as a company to hire a second body?
Yeah.
Can I afford that?
Yeah.
And how long you take to do that, and how many people you may go through until you find that second
It's a
person.
huge responsibility as well.
Huge, and it's so much time. If we can fast forward a few months ahead or save ourselves those funds,
Yeah.
it's huge, I think.
I think it's when you hire someone who's not a good, especially because the theory that we have in our team is exactly that, right? It's a sports team. There's a manager that has essentially laid out the strategy of play, right? You may be a really good player by yourself, but if you can't fit in this team and play by the strategy that everyone else is aligned on, then you're driving the bus into the divider, basically.
100%.
Like, we're all moving in one direction and you're gonna move in the other.
We're as good as the weakest player in our team, man.
100%.
I didn't understand that. I felt so bad for that saying for the longest time, and trying to elevate those people. You can't do the work for them.
Yeah.
But you are categorized as, and I had that same conversation with my operations team today. We're as good as the worst person. I don't want to say worst, I said the weakest.
Yeah.
Because I
That's the
believe
least
people-
experienced person on our
Exactly,
team.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that.
So what's next for Phantom in terms of breakthrough marketing? Because I know you're not going to be doing regular marketing anymore, because you've already pushed the boundaries of the industry, in my opinion, at least. What's next? What are you gonna?
For me, I think would be the training center, man. I want to, the vision, what I see, because I'll be very frank, it's $100 million vision. And I've accepted that.
Right.
We put it out there, and we're creating the structure for it. So when I look at what that looks like, it's a training session where a training facility is required. So, being a smaller company and working remotely, and my guys are being out on the road, I think the core comes down to building this structure internally where we can have a better training facility, and also doing a lot of our promotions and marketing and branding. Like, I think what's next for Phantom is basically becoming the best at what we do, because I don't want to ever get into something else without mastering what we're doing. So pest control is our core, but basically we got into pest proofing. So I never thought I'd get into contracting business, like basically working with developers and builders and working with realtors. I never thought we'd get to that level where we're dealing with, basically I was at a $35 million house in West Van today trying to pest proof it.
Right.
That's a huge number. I never thought we'd do that in pest proofing alone.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly to that is sanitation and cleaning. I think big thing for Phantom coming is cleaning. We've already planned that out.
Right.
Getting into the market for service industry. I genuinely feel like the future in services is how you bundle all and bring it under one roof.
Absolutely.
And provide value. Because at the end of the day, to me, like I said, it's not the finances. It's beautiful. Making money is nice, and that's what we do. But creating a freedom for myself and my people, like you mentioned that Monday where I'm taking Honey, my Doberman, for a walk, I can't turn that around. Or the day that I can take my wife and my child, on a walk on a Tuesday, on a sunny day, those are the freedoms we're all working to. And it's not just for me as a founder. I'm trying to do that for my whole team. So the goal is creating something special, a foundation where we can have that. And and then branch off that while having the people also grow with us,
Right.
you know?
So that's an amazing vision to have as well. I always thought I was odd for kind of thinking about the lateral movements you can make in business. Because for us, for example, we're a marketing agency. So we've got marketing as a department nailed down, right? We're doing it for different kinds of businesses. We've got e-commerce clients, we've got, clients that are blue collar businesses, we've got financial services clients. At this point, I can go into any industry and know that my marketing's kind of figured out already because we have aced that. And I try to hold myself back all the time because, you don't want to jump into too many ships at the same time. But it's interesting to see that most of the people I talk to and converse with who are entrepreneurial in general have one business going for themselves. They always look to expand from their bread and butter and see what can be done outside of that as well. So fantastic stuff.
It's pretty special, man. Like, I think growth becomes addictive as entrepreneurs. We always, not everybody, I believe in that 1% when I say it, because I do believe in you have to be on like the 99% to be doing and be crazy enough. And if you want to have things that others don't have, you have to be willing to do the things that nobody's willing to do. And that's what we did. One of the things, it's kind of like, okay, am I on the spotlight? Am I right? It's tough dealing with it. And there's consequences, right? It's risk taking. But I think at the end of the day, I think as entrepreneurs, we like doing difficult things. Like we were talking.
There's got to be a challenge. Otherwise,
it's got to be a challenge or it gets boring, man. It
does.
Gets stale.
It does.
It's the last thing you want to do is become complacent. So
very true. Very true. Before we wrap up our conversation, I'm actually very impressed by two things. One was the marketing aspect of it. And then the second thing is you've kind of built a business that's very traditional, but operates on a hybrid model, like you mentioned. So a lot of your employees are remote, and they work on their own times, as you've sort of mentioned earlier as well. How's that worked out for you? I mean, because here's the thing. All the people who we've had on this show before you, they have been in businesses that are close to tech or businesses where the possibility of remote working and, hybrid environments is, quite frankly, easier than yours, at least. Like, for example, we run a marketing agency. We're completely remote for the most part. We have an office when we want to meet with clients and whatnot, but 90% of our clients don't want that. We don't want that either. None of us show up to work at a physical location every day, and it's quite easy for us to sort of manage that. How do you do that as a predominantly traditional business? What sort of processes and technology have you leveraged to kind of make that happen?
I think it really comes down to trust, trusting your people, trusting the business. I go by this acronym FIGHT.
Okay.
And it's been a model that I follow, that it stands for family, integrity, God in the center, humility, and trust. And this has been the model I've gone for a long time. I've heard it somewhere else. It really resonates with me. And I think trusting people is very difficult. And a lot of time, you hear in a lot of sayings is trust nobody. And that saying, actually, I read it in a book, Non-Negotiable, I think it was in, by Wes Watson. And it's a very alpha, basically, author, and the way he talks about it. But the reason this stuck with me was people that don't trust are the people that have lack of trust in themselves. So when I trusted and I built something and if I brought everybody in this room to work together, there's a set expectations.
Right.
I don't tell people that they're got to do stuff. I tell them that they're responsible for a certain role, like just like we talked about the soccer team or the bus that I mentioned. In business, I think trust is huge.
Yeah.
And early on, when I lost my business to a business partner, unfortunately, my trust in business and trust in life was basically gone very quickly. Then I started building myself, and I believe in okay, if I show up the best way possible for my team, leading by example, eating the best food that I can, working out the best way, being honest, these things you can't teach people, you can just show by example.
Correct.
And you attract that. And I think when I switched for Phantom, I thought, okay, I gotta be very different. So I started educating myself. Most of my crew reads. We have these 7 minutes meetings, we used to call them. It started as a weekly meeting, as a 7-minute meeting. Now they're an hour. But we always talk about our wins as a group. And through that win, we talk about personal development.
Right.
So the people that I've chosen, they're so into the personal development world that they've worked on themselves, and I trust them because they trust themselves. And I think that's the model we have in pest control. And of course, our vehicles got GPSs on them. If work doesn't get done, clients will call you. So I think a very,
Very objective sort of
exactly
accountability
there's huge
model.
accountability.
Yeah.
Genuinely, I think, like you mentioned, if you got this culture and this team built, that if somebody doesn't fit in, we've built something now. If that one individual enters this group, the team will reject them. I don't need to reject them. It's the culture that rejects them.
Right.
It's like I feel so comfortable, man. Like I've lost the most amazing people in my life, unfortunately, throughout the years, and I'm still okay. And it's this fear of entrepreneurship where when you're alone one day, and here you build a team, and you're always afraid of potentially losing someone. I don't have that fear now. Because it's the trust. Like these are like my people, my family, right?
Yeah.
And we have a huge.
You want someone to stay, you create the environment in which they would want to stay, right?
Exactly. Like you've seen with Googles of the world, and they have the whole system in place at one place. Keep it fun, and the freedom's there.
That's fantastic, man. This was such an insightful conversation. I could honestly do a second episode, maybe.
Would love to.
Maybe the beginning of the new year. How about that?
Man. Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Thank
you so
having
much
me.
for being here. And the pleasure was all ours, honestly.
Thank you.
Yeah, cheers.
Awesome.